This just got very interesting. Ryan Poles and the Chicago Bears just received some major confirmation. And today's episode of Keek on the Mic starts right now.
Cali to Chi-Town is Bears on a flight. Let me go tune in to Keek on the Mic. He gon' make sure we get our news and highlights. When you get on YouTube, you better hit the like.
Hey, what's going on, Bears fans? Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Keek on the Mic, the podcast all about the Chicago Bears. First and foremost, happy Thursday to every single one of you guys. I hope you guys are having a very good week so far. So, Bears fans, things just got very, very interesting, and it sounds like the Chicago Bears just got some even more big confirmation on a ongoing issue that we have been talking about time and time again right here on the podcast, all over social media, and we have been very unhappy regarding the situation in regard to Ian Cunningham. As we all know, Ian Cunningham is now the new general manager of the Atlanta Falcons, and initially when he got the job, we all thought that, hey, we would be getting 2 third-round comp picks from the National Football League because, hey, it's part of the Rooney Rule. He's getting a promotion. He's going to be the one leading the drive over there. But the initial response from the NFL was, hey, no, the Chicago Bears will not be getting the 2 third-round comp picks because Matt Ryan, now the president of the football for Atlanta Falcons, will be leading the charge. But once again, Matt Ryan was in an interview with Pete Prisco and Kyle Long on CBS on Media Row at the Super Bowl, and he confirms once again from the horse's mouth that new general manager Ian Cunningham will be leading the way not only in the NFL draft, but all free agency and football decisions. Check this out, Bears fans.
When you are going through the draft process and the free agency, are you going to be actively involved in that, or are you going to let your people do it? Or?
Man, Ian's in charge. Ian's in charge of that space. I'm looking forward to learning about this. Like I said it the other day in Ian's presser, like I've never sat in a draft meeting, and so Monday is going to be the first time I'm sitting in a draft meeting, and I've got a lot to learn. So sitting, observing, being a fly on the wall. If there's something that Ian has a question about or something I can help with, I'm all ears, and I'm happy to share my opinion. But Ian is driving this boat, and he is the one that's leading us moving forward, and I'm excited about that. You guys, Ian is incredibly competent and qualified, and he's awesome. So looking forward to watching him do his thing.
The reason I asked that, because Tony Baselli, who I know very well, actually is in the whole draft process.
I'm going to be
watches
in it.
tapes,
yes.
and he goes to the scouting.
I'm going to be in it, but I'm not driving it.
Right,
Pete,
but you're going to be involved.
Yes, I'll be involved, and I'll be involved in whatever way Ian needs me. That really is. Arthur, from the top down, he believes in servant leadership, and there is no better servant leader than Arthur Blank. And I know that from being there as a player. I have felt that for the last month in the role that I'm in. And really my role is to be that same person for Kevin, to be that same person, for Ian and really the rest of the building. And so, yeah, I'm going to be involved. Like, I love that kind of stuff, and I love being around it. This is what I'm passionate about, but I also understand my responsibility is to be there to help out Ian where I can. And maybe that's offering a different lens and offering a different perspective, but this is Ian's regular season right now, man. He is in it, and he is driving the ship for us.
So once again, Bears fans, it's from the horse's mouth, from Matt Ryan on video, that Ian Cunningham will be driving the ship over there in Atlanta. And he even admitted, this is my first time sitting in a draft room going through the free agency process. He's like, Ian Cunningham has been there, done that. He has all the experience. That is why we hired him as the general manager of the Atlanta Falcons. So, hey, NFL, you guys have nowhere else to run. Go ahead and run the Chicago Bears to 2 third-round comp picks for Ian Cunningham getting a promotion and becoming the new general manager of the Atlanta Falcons. And once again, this is not Matt Ryan's first rodeo in saying that the general manager would be the one in charge of the football decisions with the Falcons. He said it prior to his general manager search when he was opening up for his press conference when he became the president of football. So this is just, once again, the second time that he has said it. It's come from the horse's mouth. So I'm really intrigued to see the response from the National Football League, because they have been very gung-ho saying, hey, the Chicago Bears will not receive the 2 third-round comp picks for whatever reason. I'm not sure if the Atlanta Falcons have found a loophole on their reasoning, but it keeps coming from the horse's mouth that it sounds like Ian Cunningham will be leading the charge over there in Atlanta. That means it would be a promotion. It's part of the Rooney Rule. He's a minority, right? Getting a promotion. becoming a new general manager of the Falcons, that means at the end of the day, the Chicago Bears should be getting the 2 third-round comp picks. So definitely something that I wanted to share with you guys on today's episode of Keek on the Mic. We also got to hear from wide receiver DJ Moore at the Super Bowl on Media Row regarding, the final play that ended the Chicago Bears season in the divisional round against the Los Angeles Rams. This was the Via CHGO podcast, and DJ Moore said exactly what Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson said. It was just a simple miscommunication. And the thing is, I have had some time to think about it. I am no longer upset. I mean, it was definitely unfortunate in the moment because the win was right there for the Chicago Bears taking to go to the NFC Championship game and play the Seattle Seahawks. But, when you have your quarterback, your head coach, and now your receiver all on the same page saying that it was a miscommunication, you just have to sit there and believe them, because at the end of the day, it was still year one in Ben Johnson's system, and all these players are still trying to get used to the system, trying to get used to each other, where they're supposed to be at times, and this was not the first rodeo of seeing some miscommunications on certain plays that led to interceptions or led to bad mistakes. So when DJ Moore came out and says, hey, it's just still miscommunication, or when Caleb Williams came out and said it's a simple miscommunication, you have to sit here and believe them and understand that I think when we come into next season, they will have all offseason to get better, to try to master Ben Johnson's system a whole nother year. And that is my expectation. I think DJ Moore will be okay. He will get together with Caleb Williams this offseason, and they will get better together, and they'll be better for Ben Johnson and the Chicago Bears offense. So definitely good to hear from DJ Moore. You can definitely tell that it was upsetting for him too, because he understood the situation, but it was good to hear from him and just understand that they're all on the same page. It was a simple miscommunication, and all you can do at this point is move forward for the betterment of this offense and the Chicago Bears organization. But Bears fans, I also want to talk with you guys on today's episode of Keek on the Mic before I end today's episode, is that we need to talk about the Chicago Bears cap situation, because, I was talking about Trey Hendrickson and Max Crosby, and someone pointed something out to me on social media, was like, Keek, it would be good to have either one of those guys. It's obviously a major need for the Chicago Bears, but let's go ahead and talk about the cap situation. And we all know that the Chicago Bears can restructure some contracts here in 2026 to make the cap situation better for them, to make a big swing for Max Crosby or Trey Hendrickson, because currently, according to Spot Track, the Chicago Bears are a negative $10.6 million in cap space. So Ryan Poles and the Bears are going to have to be creative in the ways that they maneuver some cap space to put them in a healthy situation. They can make moves like restructuring a whole bunch of contracts like DJ Moore, Joe Tooney, Jalen Johnson, among others. They can go ahead and restructure 10 contracts while also cutting Tremaine Edmonds and saving $15 million, and that would give you a healthy $60 to $80 million in cap space. But what people don't understand, and what I had to kind of understand for myself, and kind of what I want to explain to you guys today on today's episode of Keek on the Mic, it's okay for the Chicago Bears to restructure this year, to go make a couple of moves and re-sign their own free agents at the end of the day. But you have to understand, every time you restructure and try to create cap space for the current cap year, it's going to push off into 2027 or into 2028. So the Bears are now in a tricky situation, because you don't want to restructure too many contracts where it's pushed off into 2027, and now you're in a pickle in next year's cap situation where you have some big time extensions to make. Let's say they let it go and we need to extend Darnell Wright next year. Let's say they don't extend him this year. Now you're in a very funky cap situation next year. So for example, if they do go ahead and restructure 10 different contracts this year to save some cap space, the Bears would probably only have around $3 million in next year's cap. And that would be a big blow for the cap situation, knowing that you have a lot of players that you're going to need to extend next offseason. So this is what the Chicago Bears will probably do. Do I anticipate Ryan Poles is going to restructure 10 different players? Absolutely not. You're only going to probably restructure the players that you believe that are going to be on your football team for the long term. DJ Moore, maybe Cole Kmet, obviously Joe Tooney, maybe Drew Dahlman as well. Those players you believe will be part of your team through the 2028 season. And then you look at some players like Dayo Dangbo or Grady Jarrett. Those players you probably don't restructure, because you probably don't anticipate them being a part of your team for the next 3 or so years. So you have to have a set plan in place of players that you want to restructure. You can still go ahead and cut Tremaine Edmonds and save $15 million there. But I do not expect Ryan Poles to restructure 10 contracts. So once again, the Chicago Bears could release Tremaine Edmonds and then restructure Joe Thuney, Drew Dahlman, Jackson, Sweat, and Gordon's contracts and go from there. They go from -10 in cap space to $45.9 million. And then when you're looking about restructuring, I kind of want to break this down for you guys. When you're doing that, before restructuring, the 2027 cap space for the Bears would be at $69.6 million. That number would then drop to $35.9 million because you are restructuring some of these contracts in 2026 and it's being pushed onto the 2027 cap number. And that's what that Bears fan was trying to make me realize. When you're restructuring contracts, you have to be careful because it's going to be pushed off in 2027. And now that cap number in 2027 is now going to get lower. So at that point, the Bears are going to be at $35.2 million in 2027. And that's where, once again, you have to be smart again. Maybe you cut Grady Jarrett. Maybe you cut Dio Dangbo. Just by cutting those two, you can now be at $60 million. So every single year, organizations, this is not just for Ryan Poles and the Bears, every organization can manipulate and maneuver the cap space to make sure you are in a very healthy situation. As long as Ryan Poles can keep the dead cap number down, which Ryan Pace was absolutely terrible at. I believe when Ryan Poles came in as new general manager of the Chicago Bears, the Bears had like $60 to $80 million in dead cap, right? And that's why it took Ryan Poles so long to build this thing here, because he had to get rid of the dead cap and then he can start building, right? So Ryan Poles, as long as he doesn't get caught up in the dead cap and making sure that number stays down, the Chicago Bears year in and year out can really manipulate and maneuver the cap space. But I just wanted to give you guys a little bit more understanding of what the numbers would look like if they do decide to restructure some contracts in 2027, so they can still be in a very healthy place to continue to build this championship contender here in Chicago, but also make sure you're keeping your own guys here to stay for the long-term success of the Chicago Bears. So Bears fans, let me know down below in the comment section what you think about everything I had to say today on today's episode of Keek on the Mic. I cannot wait to hear from you guys. But other than that, make sure you guys continue to hit that subscribe button and the notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Make sure you follow me on all my social media platforms, and make sure you share this episode of Keek on the Mic with every single Bears fan that you know. But other than that, be back for all new Bears podcasts right here on Keek on the Mic. Thanks, guys, and as always, bear down.
You ain't bout it, you ain't Keek on the mic. You ain't bout it, you ain't Keek on the mic. You can go and subscribe, cause I be on it right. You ain't bout it, you ain't Keek on the mic.